My name is Peter Seaborn. I was an able seaman in the Royal Navy. I was on an American destroyer escort. We called them Captain Class frigates, and it was called HMS Waldegrave. And when the exercises for the rehearsal of D-Day, we were patrolling the entrance of the English Channel to stop any U-boats or E-boats coming in. But during that period, the E-boats left Cherbourg and attacked the convoys on the Operation Tiger at Slapton Sands. We could not stop that because obviously we were further out into the Atlantic side of the English Channel, and the E-boats came from France. Consequently, there was a massive loss of life with the Americans, and almost, I think, somewhere around about 1,000 men were killed, during which time some officers having the details of the D-Day landings were killed, and they had to recover those bodies before they could allow D-Day to proceed. On June the 6th, we sailed from Milford Haven on D-Day with 5 American troop ships destined for Omaha and Utah beaches. The captain cleared the lower deck and told us what's happening. He said, we may be going up the Seine, he said, and do this, that. I thought, well, bloody hell. And sort of thing, pardon my thing. That was quite, well, I say, exciting in a way.
Yeah, you felt excited. You were young, weren't you?
Yeah, I was young, and we was apprehensive of what we expect. We didn't know what to expect. And when we got there, we knew what to expect. But D-Day itself was just the beginning. It carried on and on and on. Ships were still shelling and bombing, going on day after day. I don't know how many days after the initial landings. And people who survived the initial part, others behind them were killed. My brother, my second brother, the second James, who was in the army, I think he had to wait several days before he could land because of the congestion, the troops going onto the beaches, you see. And by July, the middle of July, there had been 1 million men landed. And we're talking about millions of chaps then going into France. And we mustn't forget, although it was D-Day, that the aftermath of D-Day itself, when the chaps went forward to Germany, was very horrendous. They all suffered in that way. Another thing I thought about was the poor soldiers who weren't used to the water were seasick on the way there, and not only were they seasick, poor chaps, they had to then land and go at the beaches under fire, and it must have been horrendous for them as well, Yeah. On the 13th of June in particular, I remember that convoy following us, HMS Boadicea, was torpedoed by a German aircraft, and unfortunately the only 12 survived, leaving 170 people or sailors perished. It was very, very sad. The plane then carried on over us and machine gunned us, but it was so quick that we never lost any lives. And then, but that was it. We just carried on to France, and after that we were engaged in continuous convoy work between the countries, and also patrolling the channel against U-boats and E-boats, etc. All in all, it was very exhausting work, because in the beginning we were closed up round the guns at action stations for several days. And I hard to go over some of those poor chaps, even in the U-boats. You know, they were only men and boys like we were, you know. And they say, "Were you frightened?" Well, we were frightened, but I suppose we were more apprehensive than anything. And of course we were hyper vigilant, because you didn't know when it was going to happen from one day to the next, and you lived with that all the time. You know, you didn't know whether. I mean, on the particular ship I was on, that had no portholes, and you were enclosed in with watertight doors, of course. On one occasion, there was a huge explosion close to the ship, and all the men tried to get out of the doors, and the doors were jammed. But I remember sitting on the locker, thinking, "Oh, this is it." I didn't, you know, I just thought I was going to die. I didn't really worry me too much, because I thought, this is it, you know, you've got to go sometime. Because our mess deck was above the magazine, and we knew that if a torpedo hit where we were, the magazine would go, you'd be obliterated anyway. First of all, I went to try and join the army, but I think the offices were closed that day. Then, a few weeks after my 16th birthday, I went to Ipswich with a pal from the village who had to go for a medical, and I volunteered then for the Navy. Well, my birthday was on the 26th of May, and D-Day was on the 6th of June. I was 10 days into my 17th year. Possibly I was probably quite young, because most blokes were a little bit older than that, weren't they? But on VE Day, we were still in the Channel on VE Day, and we were at Portsmouth, and the Rangers came round and blew us kisses. That was very nice. And I finally demobbed in 1947, having spent 2 years after the war. Then I met my darling wife, and got married in 1948, and I decided to get married on D-Day. Actually, on the 5th of June we married in 1948, and Monica was born in March 1950, but I contracted tuberculosis, they discovered, and unfortunately Monica was an only child, which is one thing I do regret. I did not think it was right to have more children, with the fact that I was expecting her to die anyway, because in those days pulmonary tuberculosis was a killer, as you know. But I survived.
He always feels for the people that didn't make it home.
Oh yes,
you always say that.
Yes, yes, that was very. I mean, the
horrendous.
I mean, the people that were killed all over the world, really. I mean, I must confess that, I mean, the Germans were our enemies, but they're our friends now, aren't they? I was honoured to be there and to represent the country in that position, you know. But I just hope that it never happens again, and the people, as far as I'm concerned, the whole world should make love and not war.